الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد عبده ورسوله. أما بعد, inshallah, reading, continuing in the book الدروس المهمة لعامة الأمة by Shaykh Abdur-Razzāq Al Badr. We stopped last week in the tafsir of Surah Al-Zilzal, and today we're going to continue, inshallah, in tafsir of Surah Al-Adiyat and Surah Al-Qari'ah, and then continue down like this. The Shaykh says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wal-Adiyat ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير. إذ هذه السورة العظيمة سورة العاديات فيها قسم من الله تبارك وتعالى بهذه المخلوقات, والله عز وجل يقسم بما شاء من مخلوقاته, وأقسام الله تعالى بهذه المخلوقات فيه تشريف لها, وأما المخلوق فلا يجوز له أن يقسم إلا بالله. He says this first surah, Surah Al-Adiyat, it begins and has in it one of the, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala making qasam. He swears and making an oath. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears and making an oath by His creation. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can make an oath of that which He belongs of His creation. And this is because of the sharaf or tashrif laha, in order to give it honor and nobility. As for the creation, us, we cannot swear except by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Due to the hadith of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, man kana halifan falyahlaf billah aw liyasmut. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in Bukhari Muslim, he said, whoever wants to take an oath, let him swear by Allah, or let him keep quiet. In another hadith, when halafa bi ghayrillah faqad kafara aw ashrak. Whoever swears by other than Allah, then he has disbelieved or has committed shirk. والعاديات ضبحا هذا قسم بينه تبارك وتعالى بالخير المنطلق العدو على مطولها مجاهدون في سبيل الله صابرون محتسبون قاصدون لجهادهم بأعداء كلمة الله تبارك وتعالى. He said the word عاديات ضبحا, Allah swearing by the forces that are prepared to fight against the enemy or struggling in the path of Allah, being patient for His word and intending that to raise the statement and the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the adu is ma'ruf, it's one learned enemy who was sur'atun jiriha. And when it comes to the enemy, then the person or the animal, it must be quick in its movements and must have a space, and must make a lot of effort in the space that it has when it's fighting against the enemy in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here where Allah swears al-babaha, He means by the horses that are prepared for that battle. Some of the Mufassirun, they mention like in Tafsir al-Tabari, that it means the ibil, camel instead of the horse. The majority from what is read, or many of them scholars of Tafsir mentions actually the horse. Then Allah says, فَالْمُورِيَاتِ قَدَحًا أَنَّ حَوَافِيرَهَا مَعَ شِدَّةٍ دِرِيهَا وَعَدْوِهَا وَسُرْعِهَا عِنْدَمَا تُلَامِسُ الْأَرْضَ صَلْبَةً وَحَصَرَ يعني قد يكون منها الشرر والنار. He says here, وَالْمُورِيَاتِ قَدَحًا, meaning that the heels and the hooves of these horses, due to the strength and severity of their movement and the quickness of their movement, they hit the earth quickly, bringing forth sparks and dust. وهذا دليل على قوتها وسرعتها وقوة انطلاقها ومراقاتها أعداء. And it's evidence of the strength of these animals and their quickness and their power in coming forth to the enemy. Allah says, فَالْمُغِيرَاتِ صُبْحًا, فَالْمُغِيرَاتِ على أعداء صُبْحًا أي وقت الصبح, means that the animals and the army, they're coming forth against the enemy in the early morning. Because Allah says subh, subh means the waqt al-subh, it's better time, or dawn. وهذا هو الغالب في هدي النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في وجيوشه يغير على أعداء بهذا الوقت. And that's because this is from the guidance, the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم, that he used to bring forth the enemy or the armies to dispatch them in the early morning. And this is because the early morning there's barakah, and this comes for a general. Hayyid Safar al-Ghamidi radiyallahu ta'ala anhu Sunnah Dawud, the Prophet ﷺ said, Allahumma barik ummati fi bukuriha. Allah bless my ummah in the early mornings. When Sa'ad mentioned that the Rasul ﷺ used to send out, if you want to send out army, he will send out in the early morning. And if you wanted to encourage Sahaba something, for example, doing something he encouraged in the morning. And Safad then he used to go to work in the morning, he became rich and wealthy because of that, because of the blessed time. Right? So it's a benefit of time for spending anything. And one of the things we're talking to do this morning, he said, is dispatch the army. And that means he says Subha, because Subha is the time that the army is. In this case, the animals, the army is going to fight the enemy, and this is from the guidance the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did. Then he says, فَأَثَرْنَ بِهِ نَقَعًا. He says then here that due to the strength and speed of these animals, when approaching the enemy, and the ghubar, the dust, he flies up in the air to the strength of their movements, right, and the hoosh, and they're going next to earth. Then Allah says, فَوَسَطْنَا بِهِ لِنُقَاتِلْ بِسَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَعَلَى مَتْنِهَا الْجَمْعَةِ. He says it during the struggle against the enemy in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that these animals, they come peace into the lives of the enemies, fighting them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swore by these three things. So he begins first with praying with the animals, the horses that are prepared for the enemy, or fight against the enemies for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then about the strength of these hooves and the power of these animals, and then the dust that is rising up, and the strength of the horses as they are moving quickly, and lastly, as they penetrate the lines of the enemies fighting for the sake of Allah. So Allah swears by all this due to that, because of the high honor and might of these creation. Then he turns, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turns attention to the creation. After finishing this, right, he now turns towards clarifying the status of mankind. إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لِرَبِّهِ لَكَنُودٌ. Verily mankind, when it comes to the Lord, are kunud. A kunud means with jahid li-ni'mah. One who is turned away, was detested, the one who has rejected the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَهَذَا حَالُ الْإِنسَانِ عَمُومًا. And this is the condition of most people in general. يتفضل الله عليه ربه بأنواع النعم وسلوك المنن إذا يكون كنودا جاحدا نعمة الله عليه وفضله ومنه. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has favored His servants with many types of blessings, and the majority of them people are ungrateful, reject the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by not being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with it, and by it. Rather, they're mumsikan, shahihan, bakhilan, لا ينفق ولا يبذل مما أتاه الله إلا من سلم الله ونجاه. Rather, they hold tightly to the wealth, they are greedy, they are stingy, they do not give out and no spend in that which Allah has given them, except for who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has saved from this. And this is the case of most people. As Allah described in Surah Al-Anfal, Surah Al-Nahl, Allah describes the people, يَعْرِفُونَ نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ. Many of the people, especially disbelievers, they recognize Allah's blessing, and they detest them. Means they don't believe with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those blessings. وَأَكْثَرُهُمْ كَافِرٌ. And most of them are disbelievers. And here is the important message for all of us, that we have to be grateful to Allah for Allah's blessings. What Allah gives us, we have to remember Allah gave it to us. Allah said in the Quran, وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. There isn't any blessings we have except it comes from Allah. So how do you be grateful? If you don't want to follow this ayah, you have to remember that. وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. Allah says, as for the blessings of your Lord, remind and will speak about. And it comes in the hadith, in the Musnad of Ahmed and others, hadith Nu'man, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the Rasul said, مَنْ لَا يَشْكُرُ قَلِيلٌ فَلَا يَشْكُرُ كَثِيرٌ. Whoever is not grateful for that which is less in amount, will not be grateful for that which is large in amount. Which means if you have only few or less money, and you're not saying alhamdulillah for it now, you're not supposed to say alhamdulillah when Allah gives you millions. And then he continued, alayhi salam, and he said, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَشْكُرُ النَّاسَ لَا يَشْكُرُ اللَّهِ. Whoever doesn't or isn't grateful to the people is not grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Means taking the people to the sunnah of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he said, Jazakallah khairan to that, and you're saying to that which they better be, that's from taking Allah. And then he said, وَتَحَدُّثُ بِنِعْمَةِ اللَّهِ شُكْرًا وَتَرْكُهَا كُفْرًا. Speaking about Allah's blessings is gratefulness, and not doing so is ungratefulness. وَالْجَمَاعَةُ رَحْمَةٌ وَالْتَرْكُ عَدَاءٌ. And the community, jama'ah, the congregation, is mercy, and separation is punishment. Right? And that's one of the signs of the people of innovation. They're fed up, كُلُّ حِزْبٍ بِمَا لَدَيْهِمْ فَرِحُونَ. Everyone is happy with which they have, with عذاب من Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَهْلُ السُنَّةِ وَالْجَمَاعَةِ وَالْجَمَاعَةِ رَحْمَةٌ مِّنَّا رَحْمَةٌ اللَّهِ subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here we see, if you want to be repeat or not follow this ayah, you have to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessing Allah, so reminding each other. Sometimes from the sunnah, you can do that. They talk about things Allah gave, Allah blessed me with this, and with that, and health, and this and that. Not to be arrogant and boast, but to remind them. ourselves others. But to qunut means you are not grateful. You remember them, and you turn away from them, and you don't say alhamdulillah, because the greatest form of blessing or being grateful to Allah's blessings is saying alhamdulillah. As comes in Hadith Tirmidhi Sahih, قال عليه الصلاة والسلام أفضل الشكر الحمد لله. The greatest form of great blessing Allah, being grateful to Allah, is by saying alhamdulillah. Allah says qul alhamdulillah, say alhamdulillah. So if you stay these things, inshallah, you remove yourself from this. But most people are like this. You have it, you know it, but you don't say alhamdulillah, they're not grateful. Another way to be ungrateful is by not using the money Allah gave us, the wealth and blessings, health, wealth, whatever it is, in the halal things. You spend the money in haram ways, you spend your body and wealth and tithing in wrong ways, that's not the shukr of Allah. As some of the Salaf interpreted it, we want to be grateful to Allah, use Allah's blessing the way Allah wants to be, the halal and goodness. But Allah telling us generally, mankind is the qunut. Then Allah says, وَإِنَّهُ, very to see these people, and mankind, ذَلِكَ الشهيد. شهيد على نفسه بهذه الصفة ذميمة وخاصة المشيرة. The people, they will witness against himself this blameworthy characteristic and this detestable aspect of them. That they're greedy, stingy, that they are ungrateful of Allah's blessings. وَإِنَّهُ لِحُبِّ الْخَيْرِ, verily mankind, or the khayr, meaning the money, لشديد, and not money severely. نفسه لا يقنعه من مهما أوتي من مال. يحب المال حبا جما، أي حبا شديدا. لأوتي من المال واديا أتمنى أن يكون له وادي آخر. And mankind loves money or loves wealth very much, severely. He was given an entire valley of wealth, he will hope for another. And we know the hadith Sahihain, Rasul said the same thing. لو كان ابن آدم واديا من المال والذهب فتنمر. But mankind had the valley of wealth or valley of gold that he would hope for. واديان, two of them. One كان واديا وحب الثالث. One he has two, hope for three. ولا يمنع جوف من هذه إلى التراب. Nothing for the stomach or the inside of a man except for dust, meaning dust of the grave. I will to rely on him at that. Allah returns, the one who returns to him. The mankind were like, Allah says in Surah Faisal, تحبون المال حبا جما. Mankind love money and wealth severely. This is the reality we see with our lives. Then Allah SWT, after mentioning these, He tells us that about these characteristics. He tries to mention the next part. أفلا يعلم, these people that know that بعث ما في القبور when they're removed from their grave or brought forth from their grave. هذا أمر جدير بعد أن يكون على ذكر له وعلم به ولأن هذا الجحود لنعمة الله هذا حب المال والانكباب عليه والانشغال عما خلق عبد لأجله ووجد لتحقيقه. He says here now Allah SWT is a severe issue. The mankind remember and will know about this ungratefulness for the blessing of Allah, love for money and being distracted by it and the purpose of life and verifying the purpose of life one day come off to their graves. So Allah says do not know that when they come to their graves they will come to know this reality. وحصل ما في الصدور أي يحصل في ذلك اليوم ما انطبق عليه يجازي عبد على ما كان عليه للشح والبخل. And a person will be brought forth and held accountable for that which they had inside themselves of greed, avarice, stinginess, or kunud, وغير ذلك من الخصال الذميمة. Well, in that from the bad characteristics, who will be held accountable. إن ربهم يومئذ لخبير. Verily, the Lord that day is khabir. واطلع على أعمالهم ظاهر وباطن. Allah, He knows. He's viewing our actions apparent and hidden. خفية وجلية, or subtle, or if you significant, and He'll give you accountability for that. And that Khabir is Allah's name, اسم من أسماء الله. It's a name from Allah's name. وهو عليم بمواضع الأمور وخفايا الأشياء كعلمه بظاهره وعلمه. And this name and Khabir is one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It means Allah is al-alim, all-knowing of the hidden affairs or the eternal affairs and the subtle affairs, just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was apparent in public affairs. That's the end of Surah Tafsir, Surah Adiyat, very briefly. Then he moves to the next Surah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, al-Qari'atu man-Qari'ah, وما أدراك ما القارعة يوم يكون الناس كالفراش المبثوث وتكون الجبال كالعهن المنفوش وأما من ثقلت موازينه فهو في عيشة راضية وأما من خفت موازينه فأمه هاوية وما أدراك ما هي نار حامية. القارعة هذا اسم من أسماء يوم القيامة وقد تعدد أسماؤها لتعدد صفاتها. القارعة is one of the names of the judgment and his names have become the multitude due to the multitude of descriptions of that day. فهي أعلام وأوصاف. So there are signs and description of the day. لأنها دالة على أوصاف العديمة لذلك اليوم. Because there are signs of the characteristics of that great day. القارعة التي تقرع القلوب والأسماع من هون شديد وعجب خط بها. It means here that Qari'ah is the knocking in the hearts and the ears, it's the severity and the worries of that day, and the greatness of its address. So it's knocking in the ears and the hearts. It's a fear of the danger of that severity of that day. Allah says, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْقَارِعَةُ, and what will make you know what is al-Qari'ah? وَهَذَا اسْتِفْهَامٌ لِتَحْوِيلٍ, and this is a question, right? Try to attain understanding, realization of the horrors of that day. وَبِيَابُ عِدْنِ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ, and the greatness of that day, وَأَنَّهُ يَوْمٌ عَظِيمٌ يَوْمٌ شَدِيدٌ, it is a great day, a great day. And Allah says, يَوْمَ يَكُونُ النَّاسُ كَالْفَرَاشِ وَمَبْثُوثٍ, people that day, and the conditions will be like Allah says, كَالْفَرَاشِ, like moths scattered. وَيَمُوجُ بَعْضُهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ, one's coming over the other, one overwhelming the other. وَالنَّذِيرُ, it's similar to Allah's statement, كَأَنَّهُمْ جَرَادٌ مُنْتَشِرٌ, which Surah Qamar, Allah says, like as if the people will come out like locusts, scattered, means one after the other, overwhelmed. Everyone is coming together, worried. وَتَكُونُ الْجِبَالُ, the mountains that day, سُمُّ السِّلَابُ الْقَوِيَّةُ مُتَمَاسِكَةً, these mountains that are strong, firmly fit, firmly kept in the ground. Allah says, that day will be like suf, mamduf, like wool, removed, or wool gathered together. And then غير متماسك, it will not be something that's holding tightly. بحيث لو هب هواء يسير تلاش. However, such that if a wind were to come and blow it, the mountain would go. تذهب عن تلك الجبال سلامتها لقوتها. The mountain will lose its strength and its ability to be firm. And Allah mentioned that also in Surah Al-Nahl. ترى الجبال تحسبها جامدة. You will see the mountain that day, you consider them strong, وهي تمر مر السحاب, and it'll be moving like the way that the clouds they move. The mountain will lose its strength, like will flying, or will moving by the wind if it was still blowing. And that's why this is very to the day, that which is poured or strong will become scattered. Just like the sky will crack, and there are from these to this, right, and water flooding, all that is powerful will become weak in the day. As a way to fighting people, and also so that it is the end of the day. End of the days, the day of judgment is being established. Then Allah tells us its attention towards the condition of mankind. فَأَمَّا مَنْ ثَقَلَتْ بِالْمَوَازِينِ, whoever his scale is heavy, وَرَجَحَتْ بِحَسَنَاتِ وَالطَّاعَاتِ وَأَنْوَاعِ الْقُرُبَاتِ, that means he has more good deeds and obediences and types of coming or drawing near to Allah. فَهُوَ فِي عِيشَةٍ رَاضِيَةٍ, he will be in Jannah قُلْت, Jannah in his eternity, the eternal Jannah, the eternal paradise, فِي نَعِيمٍ مُقِيمٍ, and a blessing that is continuous, لَا يَحُولُ وَلَا يَبْزُولُ أَبَدَ الْأَبَادِ, it will never end, will never come to an extinguishment or ending. قَرِيبَةٌ عَيْنِي, عَيْنُهُ, what is something that is going to be beautiful or beautified and grows with eyes. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He blesses us and gives us bounties with this radiyan. He's pleased the people by this. Allah pleased the people that day in Jannah. As it comes to Hadith Sahih, إذا دخل أهل الجنة الجنة يقول تبارك وتعالى تريدون شيئا أزيدكم فيقولون ألم تبين وجوهنا ألم تدخلنا الجنة وتنجينا من النار قال فيكشف الحجاب فما أعطوا شيئا أحب إليه من نظر إلى ربهم حيث مسلم وحيث صحيح. Allah, when the people of Jannah enter paradise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, do you want anything more? And they will say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you brighten our faces, you have put us in paradise and moved us in hellfire. Means what where is there? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remove the hijab, is there, and allow them to see Himself, Jalla wa ala, and to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the greatest of ni'mah, ja'ala Allah ajma'in innahum immunity wa karameh. So Shaykh Bin Baaz, Allah makes us, all of us amongst those who get to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's face. And this, it shows again that people in Jannah have been radiyah, in status, a place of, and a status of being pleased. And Allah with pleasure of Allah, and a pleasure in livelihood, because they enter Jannah. As to the opposite, whoever scale is right, by sayyat wa ma'at wa dhunub, due to sins, disobedience, then فَأُمُّهُ هَاوِيَةٌ, and the nar بِمَأْوَاهُ وَهِيَ مَكَانُهُ, and the hellfire is his abode in his place. أُمُّهُ رَأْسُهُ هَاوِيَةٌ أي يهوي على رأسه في النار, means you were told head first, headlong into the hellfire, عياذ بالله. And these verses are similar to the verses in the Quran when it mentions Surah Al-Mu'minun. أما من ثقلت موازينه فأولئك هم المفلحون. Whoever scale is heavy, those people will go to paradise successful. أما من خفت موازينه, whoever scales are light, فأولئك خسروا أنفسهم بما كانوا بآياتنا يظلمون. then they are the people who feel themselves to turn away and from our ayat, our verses, oppressing. And still in Surah Al-Araf, Allah mentions to say, whoever scales heavy, then those who will be, and those who are successful. Those people whose scales light have failed themselves. What they have done and what they have turned away from. So here we see that these verses are reminding us again of that Hisab Yawm al-Qiyamah. And both surahs we mentioned so far, Surah Zilzal and Surah Qaadir, talk about Hisab and Jaza, reward and compensation. And when Shaykh finishes here, Allah says, Narun Hamiyah, Narun Shadid, Muhriqah, a fire that's severe and it's burning. And it comes in the hadith, and Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Bukhari Muslim said, Narukum juz'un min sab'ina juz'an min nar jahannam. That your fire, means the word life, is 1/70th of the fire of the hellfire. A'adhan Allah min that. May Allah protect us and seek refuge from that. And this is before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he mentions this, because Allah also says, the people who scale as light, will be jahannam khalidu. They will end up in the hellfire, right, forever, which is the non-Muslim, and the Muslim, for time, Allah decrease. And the point Allah mentions here at the end of hellfire, and we should know, the aqidah is sahihah, the correct aqidah, that the hellfire that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about here is not the hellfire that we have, or the fire that we have. And this is important. When we hear the hellfire, we should not imagine it, nor should we think of it to be similar to the fire we have. One example is the heat. Severity of this fire. Our fire is not as hot at all as the one in the hellfire. And likewise in color. Right? The hellfire is not red, it's not blue. As in Mu'tamad ibn Sina Sahib ibn Hurairah, that he said, do you think the hellfire is red like our fire? It's black, like the black as a tar. A tar we see when they're making the pavement, black like this. So this shows again the hellfire is not like the fire at all. And the sifat is different entirely. We'll mention some of that. And this shows again when I mentioned now Rahamiyah, talk about the Jahannam. Jahannam has different sifat and different names. But the point is, when I finish that, because talking about that is then for the people who scale is light. And then in that also we see the Hisab Yawm al-Qiyamah is one that is Mufaqan, we mentioned two last week, one that is exact. It means whatever good you do, we get. Whatever bad you do, you'll be held accountable for, unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives you. Right, so we mentioned this for now, inshallah, and we'll continue next week. And the encouragement for us to do as well is these tafsir. Shaykh didn't, we are very light for it. We can continue if you want to learn more. Go to tafsir, or books of tafsir that are available, in English or Arabic, and read more about it, like tafsir al-Sa'di or Ibn Kathir, and to read more about the explanation of this surah. Again, to help us, Shaykh said, to understand the Quran. So when you read it in salah, or when you read it to one another, you understand the surah. And that's one of the keys to understanding, to keeping your memory strong, is to understand how we should read it. Because when you understand, you will remain. And how it's understood goes away. And this is important because sometimes it becomes difficult to memorize something or to not mix up something. If you understood what it is, you are. The same way if you understand something in the language you speak, in English, it stays firm. So the Shaykh's bringing us the ma'ani here. So when reading, we have for sure our concentration, and also it sticks with us because we know what now it is. So we're not less likely to forget what it is, what it means, when you know it's understanding. Whereas if you just didn't know what it means, you might forget it because you didn't have it in meaning to you. And we continue, inshallah, next week like this, part by part. If anyone has any questions or we mention here or anything else, inshallah, they can mention.
Khan, who's proudest Vani, Palestine?
About the Akhir Hadith you mentioned, about the fire of Jahannam and the fire of this world, the comparison, about 70. Many people, they say Hadith is, I mean, Jahannam is 78 times hotter than the hottest fire in this world, and then they say 70 times hotter than the sun, the seeds, and all this stuff.
Yeah,
Is there any good for this? Or?
No, it's 70 times hotter than our fire. So the fire we have, this is 1/70 of the fire. And the other hellfire has 69 more, increasing upon it, the severity of heat. And the hellfire is hotter than the sun. Allah says, وَالنَّارُ جَهَنَّمَ أَشَدُّ حَرًّا وَكَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ وَكَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ وَيَكْرَهُونَ. Allah says that the hellfire in the sun, the hellfire is hotter than the sun, only to understood, because the Munafiqeen, the Sunnah in Battle Tabuk, said not into the har, no God in the heat, because it's hot. So the Munafiqeen were encouraging them, Sahaba, they didn't stay back now. Allah said the hellfire is hotter, they only knew. Means the hellfire is hotter. How can that be when I had mentioned the sun is going to go into hellfire itself? The sun is going to go into hellfire, sun and moon. And I come to Hadith Sahihain, so I also mentioned that. I mean, they're both inside of it. So there's heat of the sun, however, heat there is in the hellfire itself. Right? So that means the hellfire is severe in hell. We cannot compare. And the Aqidah, we know Sahih, we don't make any resemblance to things in the Akhirah, which we have dunya except by name, so that which description we have authentic. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Rasul describes something, we keep it as description, but we cannot imagine because we've not seen it. As the Tahawi mentioned the Aqidah, we don't imagine. Right? The Yawm al-Qiyamah, we don't imagine. Right? These things because we have no evidence for them. We know how to look, we have not seen. We know the description, so we can't imagine it. But we also we don't assume fire is fire. Right? Because here we see article in the Sifat are totally different than we have. And that's why it's very important when it comes to Aqidah, when you hold it to the description, to what we know, based on the evidence, because of Ilm al-Ghayb cannot be spoken about except with knowledge. So whoever comes and says this might be fire or the sun, and did it. As we mentioned a few years, there's more, and we leave it like that.
Is there an authentic hadith of the fire of Jahannam being lit for 1,000 years, and then it turned red, and then...
There's this hadith, Allah, from what I remember, it's da'if hadith. Then it turned white and then blue, and then like this continue with the light. From what I know, hadith is da'if. Any other questions? So inshallah, actually we'll continue in tafsir, and it's always done in the tafsir, it mentions surah, so I'm trying to go through that the more we can. But the encouragement also is that we continue to study, and to make effort in studying and being da'wah to Allah. Encourage people to come to Durus and benefit from that, because in that is khayr kathir, and in that is also a life for us in our hearts and our minds, because when it comes to seeking knowledge, it's not only something you gain in terms of how much you know, it also increases you and your dunya wal akhirah, because we have knowledge of high status. And Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned many hadith attached to fadl al-ilm, but we have to remind ourselves of these, because sometimes we lose the heart, we lose energy, and this is natural, because Rasul said, every action has a high point, it's a ijazing point, and it has a falling point. Whatever is falling point or breaking point is according to Sunnah, is guided. Whoever is falling point is on that, is misguided. So for us, when it comes to seeking knowledge, we continue to make efforts to seek knowledge. We have to remind ourselves of those benefits. There are many hadith, best of those hadith have been compiled already in the L04, for example, Kitab al-Ilm. Or even more than that, you go to Kitab Sahih Targhib wa Tarhib al-Bari, and Kitab al-Ilm, you find a hadith ajaib. It talks about fadl talib al-ilm. And he mentions some hadith amongst them. Rasulullah said, whoever goes out in the early mornings, or whoever goes out in the early morning to learn or to teach knowledge, then he gets the reward of Hajj and Tam, and gets the reward of a complete Hajj. And Shaykh Bin Baaz said the hadith Sahih wa Hassan. And this is something amazing, because seeking knowledge is that level. And we know that the hadith Sahih Muslim, Rasulullah said, how would one of you love to have a camel, a she camel that is pregnant? He is to wealth, right? She camel is wealthy and it's pregnant, is more wealth. If you go to this place called Bhutan, right? Very close, a little bit far from the masjid, but not too far. So the Sahaba said, of course. He said, whoever goes to masjid, then one eye of the Quran. One eye of the Quran, he gets that. And two is like two, and three is three, and four more, and more is more. It's one eye. And this shows that Talib al-Ilm has a reward that the Sahaba said cannot be compared to. There's no way you can compare it. Such that even the ibadat that are not wajib, right? They cannot compare to Talib al-Ilm. Sitting down and reading books, sitting down and reading hadith, even if you don't know the sharh, just reading the hadith, memorizing this stuff, this is some of the greatest ibadat. As some of the Salaf do often say, like Shafi'i went to authenticate qira'at al-hadith, reading hadith, khayr min salatil abd. It's better than sunnah prayer, just to read the hadith. And Salaf used to see it like this, it's that important. And some of the others used to consider less. And that's why it's important for us. Sometimes you see that we're reading and you might get tired and say, okay, I'm going to stop about it. We take a break, but come and continue to read. Don't stop. Don't ever give up reading and listening. Because these are the greatest about that. There's nothing you can do better. Because with ilm comes a lot. As the Salaf understood, there's nothing you can compare it to. This ilm is on the greatest of us. And if we're coming to seek knowledge, just sitting down and making effort towards it, the type of struggle that we need to continue to survive. Because you see in our era today, many people, they love to learn, but they don't make effort to learn. Or the opposite, they want to learn, but they don't learn. Right? They have this temptation, I want to learn something in the law, religion, but I don't have time. Or, I want to learn Allah's religion, but I don't make any effort. We have to be the opposite. If we want to seek knowledge, we make effort, even if it's small amounts. Shaykh Zayn Madkhali used to say, Rahimahullah, 15 minutes a day. Just 15 minutes a day. It would be a shame that it would say, 15 minutes a day to read anything, to really study anything. But the effort is, the more effort you make to follow the end, the greater your status will be amongst the people, and more benefit you have for the people. Because the people today, they need khayr, they need ilm. And that's what Rasulullah mentioned, وَعَلَّمَ الْخَيْرِ, the one to be people good, all of the animals, all the creation, angels, Allah included, they all make istighfar and dua and benefit for. One was, وَعَلَّمَ النَّاسَ الْخَيْرِ, being teaching them good. Why? Because the people, they need to know. But if today you look at carefully, people who are not studying, they need people to encourage them to study, and people who are seeking knowledge themselves. It's very important. Talib al-ilm is one of the greatest obligation on people. But it's important we continually do it and encourage ourselves by reading those ahadith. فَضْلُ الْعِلْمَ حَبَّ إِلَيْهِ فَضْلُ الْعِبَادَةِ وَخَيْرِ دِينِ الْمَرْعَةِ. Rasulullah said, excellence of knowledge is more beloved to me than the excellence of worship, and the best of religion, cautiousness. Because today, if we look carefully, we're worshipping Allah, this is good. Maybe it's not knowledge. Maybe you're seeking knowledge in the greatest of things. We should not look to the left or right and say, well, everyone else is like doing it, or they're giving up. I'm not learning as much. Continue. And we shouldn't forget that ilm is amongst the greatest things because of what it can do. And it cannot be removed. It has so much benefit. The beauty image is some of the great benefits of talib al-ilm. Why? That he mentions that ilm itself is said it's a cooling manner. It will be merit for you. Right? Eat ta'at, if you obey it, is a marta when the eight. In the eight of in the last. If it orders you and prohibits you from something, you obey it, it's going to be a merit for you. It needs you. And nothing but knowledge is important there. Something we cannot lose. Right? We have knowledge. Whatever it is, Allah can take it from you. You can continue to give it, but it cannot be lost. Right? It's a benefit you cannot lose. He said, it's a treasure you don't fear from any thief. It's a light and weight you find wherever you are. But memorize something is always with you. You don't have to forget. You learn something, it's always with you. But the point is, the benefit is that people today gain knowledge and people who are studying. So encouraging for us, we continue to seek knowledge. These are everyone's according to their means. And we should not lose hope and not lose heart. We'll continue to increase in knowledge because it's one of the greatest things that we can do. It's the greatest of the efforts is thought of in Shara'i, but to become students of knowledge and to become ulama. And that's our goal and intention, to help and benefit the people by that knowledge Allah gives. And the goal is, if you see people today, what they're doing, from the time that they're wasting, it's important for us to do the opposite of that and become people who are firm upon knowledge and guide the people. And Rasulullah encouraged the people alone. And يَهْدِيَ اللَّهُ بِكَ رَجُلًا وَاحِدًا. Allah to guide by you just one person. خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنْ حُمْرِ النَّعَمِ. It's better for you than one counts. And the ulama explained that he doesn't mean this kafir to Islam. You mean dhal, someone who's guided towards the sunnah salafi. That's what it is. So also in Shaykh Abad said, the one guides someone who doesn't know, or is ignorant or misguided towards the sunnah, we get that award. خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنْ حُمْرِ النَّعَمِ. And that's important today because we know how many people are not doing the right things, and we should not blame them. And many times they say, well, they don't know nothing, people are lost. Yes, people are lost, but we have to become also that, change for people to become better. Because easy to point fingers, everyone doesn't know anything, and everyone is misguided. Then you do something about it, and that's important because if you have knowledge, you can do something. If we don't know, or we're not making effort, that is the same. Or we're not doing any better. And the Mashaykh, they often talk about that. The complaints about lack of people of knowledge. And lack of number of ulama. The ulama, Shaykh Bin Baaz said, Rahmullah, one of his tapes, that I don't blame the awam as much. There's not enough ulama in this city, in this land to benefit the people. We need more. Imagine this, right? Not enough. We say we have many, but there's not enough to help the people. But that means also encourage for us to see a lot of people don't know things. We have to continue to know, using fires to push harder. And whatever we know, small and less, we can share it, pass it, encourage people. Even if they don't listen, it doesn't matter. Our job is not to give yourself anything. We just to convey. But it doesn't matter if they don't care, they don't listen to them, or don't respect you, continue telling the fa'idah and the khair, because one day Allah opened the heart. So talib al-ilm is something important, we continue the lives of that. Inshallah, we'll make it easy. Subhanaka bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka.